right, hello. Thank you for joining the Davis Download. We got a few topics we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with the government shutdown and all that has to do. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. What's your thoughts?
I might be dumb. Why does this happen every year?
That's a great point. I think that's kind of the issue is the government can't agree on things to get a budget for the year. That's what we're seeing in Pennsylvania as well.
Yeah.
We don't have a budget to allocate funds because both parties disagree on where to put the money and on what agendas they want to focus on.
So this is just so the government shuts down because they can't agree on a budget?
Basically. So every year they have to come to agreement. And if they don't, then the government isn't funded. So then it has to be shut down.
But that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
Like the money is what do we mean the government's not fund? Like what does that mean? Of course it's funded. So do my taxes get paused?
No.
For this month?
Of course.
So then how are they not being funded? Isn't that's what funds them? Correct.
It's just the allocation of where the funding goes.
Yeah.
So they shut down.
So otherwise, if they didn't come up with a budget, each department in the government could just say, "Hey, we're going to spend $10 billion. We're going to spend this many billion.
Yeah.
And there would be no checks, right?"
Yeah.
So are they getting paid currently?
It only impacts 25% of the government of where if you look at the budget and you split it up into quarters, it only impacts 25%, and it's the what they qualify as what we saw during COVID, like the non-necessary funding is impacted. If you're a necessary, what they qualify as a necessary aspect of the government, which is 75% according to them, you continue to get funding somehow, some way, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. So
to your point of them getting paid, though, I saw this thing on a clip, and it was Bernie Sanders on The View. And one of the ladies asked him something like...
It's quality television.
Yeah, it was very high quality. But one of the ladies looks at him and she's like, I think no one in Congress should get paid until this is over.
That's a great idea.
And he said, no joke, this is his response. He's like, well, some of them have young families.
So then agree on a budget. This is insane. That's the only place. That's got to be the only job where you don't show up to work. Essentially, you're choosing to not show up to work.
Yeah.
And you still get paid. So essentially they're striking, right? Is essentially kind of what both parties doing. They both kind of strike to kind of get the other side to blink. Essentially, that would be the point of the. I guess that's.
The top Democrats, like you said, Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer. They have come out on record and said this is our only leverage to hold back the Trump agenda. This is the only thing we have, and so they're using it to their fullest extent because they think it will politically advance their agenda.
So Congress doesn't meet.
So
they are meeting.
Yeah. They voted.
So then what shut down?
What do you mean?
When you say shut down, that should mean
25% of when you look at all the government agencies across the board, 25% of them are not getting the funding that they need. That would typically be going on in a normal in a normal session.
Any if you think about parks, but federal parks. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Grand Canyon, stuff like that, shut down because there's no one there. Smithsonian in D.C. shut down. So just random things like that, and then certain agencies closed down as well. But it honestly is dumb if you think about it.
For both sides. Both sides need to agree.
And it happens all the time. I think it's funny, actually. I can't remember the senator's name, but he proposed a bill. It might have, maybe even Fetterman tried to get on this, but he proposed where they couldn't shut down because of this reason.
It doesn't make sense because
they're
not actually shut down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. It is mind-boggling that it always happens. It's just an opportunity for one political party to hold the other political party hostage, and it happens, like you said, pretty much every presidency. But for note here, the two longest now will have been both under Trump, which obviously is not ironic in the sense that this is just something that the left is using politically to hold Trump hostage, to stop his agenda, as mentioned before. And, this is way too political. It's something that obviously...
are there things he could acquiesce on a little bit to...
So essentially the only reason, so that big, beautiful bill that was passed, what they're saying is basically repeal what you just passed, and then we'll go with it. Because they even tried, I saw...
What do you mean?
The Democrats in the House and Senate. So they're saying if you give up, so we took back money or what is it when the government reclaims money? They took it back, and essentially they're saying, hey, if you give this funding back to Obamacare, if you give this money back to, which the big beautiful bill cut out.
Yeah.
So they're saying, if you give us that back, then we'll vote to reopen the government. And the right is kind of saying like, no, we're not doing that.
Can't they just? So again, this is a government. Can't we just say fine, we'll repeal it, and then just go turn around and get it passed again?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Can't we just give them what they want, end the shutdown, come back,
So
propose the bill, change one or two things, edit out one of the 55 pages of it for it to essentially be the same thing, take out the one minor little piece of fat.
The
and
thing
then
is, though, if you
do it again, what's the problem?
Honestly, if you look at some of the things that they want to get back, it's like, $30 million to help transgender inclusion in Haiti or something like that. Like, why are we funding that anyway?
Yeah.
So why would we say yes to you refunding that to open up our government?
Yeah. One of the biggest hiccups in the bill has been Obamacare. And that's the chief accomplishment for the Democrats in the past 2 decades, right? And so the Republicans are pushing back against that. It needs some correction as far as how the government can financially support it moving forward. And one of the big snags in this bill is whether the Republicans will cave to the Democrats' request of continuing the $200 billion for health care for illegal immigrants. And so this is a big fight that's taking place, obviously, with the Trump administration's focus on cleaning up illegal immigration. That's going to be it's going to be a long fight. I don't think the Republicans are going to cave on that. As Eli mentioned with the big beautiful bill, that was a big component of that.
What doesn't make sense to me, though, is so the claim is if we don't do something, Obamacare will end and healthcare will like shoot through the roof. But I mean, maybe I'm just too young all of us are to remember what it was like before Obamacare. But I can't imagine it was that astronomically high that this is the saving grace.
Yeah, it's a good point too. I
Like,
don't
wouldn't
know
you just revert back to what it was pre-Obamacare?
Yeah, I wish healthcare could go to the marketplace more. I wish there was more competition in the marketplace for healthcare, and I think it would benefit, young people and people across the country. I would imagine. I mean, I wouldn't think, like you said, that rates would be exorbitantly much higher. It may be even better if we actually had a competitive market when it came to healthcare.
But isn't the theory behind Obamacare being everybody, like, obviously, isn't the point to give like everybody like the same medical? Isn't that kind of the point? Is it not?
So everybody's covered.
Yeah, which is not. I mean, call me crazy, but that's not the worst thing in the world.
I'm pretty sure too, though. There's a law where hospitals can't just turn around. I don't think that was Obamacare. I think that was pre-Obama.
Hospitals can't just what?
Like turn you away. You get shot. They can't be like, sorry, you ain't got a card.
Yeah, but they can charge you like a lot of money.
Yeah, and this may sound very cruel, but how much is your life worth to you? Are you willing to pay?
That's
$30,000.
That is.
But the element of
a statement.
Healthcare bills are that they can't charge interest. Like there's major restrictions on healthcare anyways. They can't charge interest on your healthcare bills. And then like if you were to have emergency surgery for a wound like that, you can pay it out as long as you want. You can put it on the longest payment plan known to humankind, and if you die, then you don't have to pay it off. So It's just like there are so many restrictions on healthcare already that I don't think it would necessarily impact it.
Yeah, healthcare's weird. I think it's one of those weird because like you get like obviously a surgeon should be very well qualified and go through rigorous training, but also at the same time like no one on average, right? Obviously but I would say the general person who goes to get surgery, it's not like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, I guess, let's do it. It's normally like relatively essential for quality of life.
Yeah. I would say this is me being naive or something like that. But the simplest way to fix it is give me an itemized bill. Like, here's what a knee surgery costs.
Yeah.
$3,000 for this, $2,000 for this, and then you could see like, don't give me the Tylenol. That Tylenol costs $50 a pill. Let me go pick up my own from the grocery store.
And to that point, there should be competition. Like if it was freed up to like if I could go to Dr. Smith down here or Dr. Jones over here. Like they should be able to compete against each other like any other industry that we have in America with capitalism. So that way there can be a competitive market that benefits the consumer. When it comes to healthcare, you basically have one option.
Yeah.
What's the hospital closest to your house? And again, we don't know what it costs to do these things line by line. They never let you know whether you go to the dentist or whether you go to the doctor's office. They never let you know what the bill's going to be.
Yeah.
I would say to play devil's advocate too, though. If you say, let it compete and all that, then you could have some shady people like, back surgery, $3.99.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, of course, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get the Aldis of surgery.
You just keep regulation, right? You have to meet these certain things, but within these parameters.
Yeah, but you could say that with any industry too. You could say that with somebody working on my car, the shady car mechanic down the street.
True.
Again, that's kind of what the capitalist idea is that ultimately the market determines the best for the consumer.
Yeah, but I guess the thing with healthcare, and I'm probably not articulating this well, but it's not just like a consumer good. Like it's not like a good or service that's like, oh, it'd be not like, it's something that, again, most people are not going to the hospital because they're like, let's go see what's on the menu for today. Let's go see what surgeries they're only going because they need to, right? Like even a mechanic, you could get around, like you could function and live without a car. Like it's not something that's essential to your life. Like when your leg is going the wrong direction, speaking from experience, like I had to go get surgery or else I'm right. Like it's not like I was like, let me weigh the options. Actually, oh wait, did you take me to this one? Can you take me to over there? They've got a sale.
Yeah, I think
the 12 screw free. Like, so that is kind of where I understand competition always is going to breed better, right?
But even when you broke your leg though, did they not say, hey, where would you like to go? When they picked you up?
No.
They didn't give you an option?
No, they take you to the closest hospital.
I mean, if it's life-threatening, like nearest one is obviously the best option.
I mean, maybe they did. I don't really remember. Again, my leg was dangling from the other side of them.
Yeah, I think too, though, and this is, again, where people are probably going to be mad at this statement. I would venture to say 50% of healthcare could probably be fixed with correct diet and exercise.
1,000%. That's so true.
So yes, like there's all these issues and all these things, but again, I'm not trying to be mean, but if you're 600 pounds overweight, like yes, you're gonna have heart disease. Yes, you're gonna have lung disease.
Yeah.
So if we could take it even a step back and say, how do we fix the American health problem as opposed to simply the medical side of it, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, but sure, fine. Like, obviously, are there things that you can do to make your health better? Yeah, of course. But there still is going to be the thing where even the person in picture-perfect health is still going to have issues and ailments. Like, that, I guess, is my problem.
Yeah, and getting back to the shutdown itself, I guess this is kind of the wrestle between both parties and kind of what the country's wrestling with overall is healthcare, is it a right that's, that every human being deserves and is provided by the government, or is this something that is a privilege that we, as we can afford it, as we can pay for it, this is what we can do as individuals on a case-by-case basis? I would certainly say that it should be more of a privilege. It should be left more to the market. It isn't necessarily an inherent right that should be provided by the government. I didn't read that portion that we have the right to health care on the end of the many lists of rights that were listed.
I'd agree with you. I don't think the government has this role of giving you this right of healthcare, and a lot of people say that. And I think this is where people have kind of put the government in the place of even God and the church.
Yeah.
Because if you go even back to like the bubonic plague, right? It was the priests and the nuns that were going out and helping people. Mm-hmm. The government really, they kind of were just like, you stay there, we'll be over here. But we kind of flipped it where it's complete dependence on the government and not on your neighbor, not on the person who's supposed to be there to help you.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear that, but also at that same point, aren't we supposed to be taking care of the least of these?
So yeah, I'm saying that's not the government's job, but your local man, your neighbor, the person who's around the corner from you, your local church, things like that. So yes, take care of the people around you, but that's not to be left up to the government.
Yeah, in many ways, I think it's removed that element of helping your neighbor, of what Jesus teaches about loving your neighbor, and it takes that, it robs it from us when we have to give so much to the government to take care of our neighbors in all of these different capacities in all these different ways. I'm removed from the privilege of being able to help my neighbor, right? There's no tangible, like, of course, in an indirect way, my money goes to the government and then it goes to my neighbor, to many of my neighbors, right, with the taxes that we pay. But it removes that element of me being able to step in and help out a neighbor who may be short or who may be hurting or who may, need that extra little bit to get them through the month. And I agree. I think it's a huge issue of government dependence or dependence on God. I think that's the contrast that we have.
Could you make that same point, like same idea about tithing and the church?
Explain.
It's more direct though, right? The church is a local body, right? And they can help the needs of individuals.
I mean, I pay local taxes.
Directly. Yeah, you pay local taxes, but you also pay federal taxes, right? So I'm saying
state taxes. And state taxes.
Yeah.
All three.
So I'm saying the closer you get to an issue, the easier it is to help.
I guess, but like people are hungry.
That's true, but here's the other thing. If you give, you have $100 to give. If I give that and say I'm going to give it to the general fund that's going to be distributed amongst everybody gets $1.
Okay.
But if I can meet the needs specifically, let's say I don't get taxed as much, then I have the $100 to do Stacy needs groceries. Well, now I can help Stacy a little bit better.
But can't you make the argument that that's not typically what happens? So having that system of taxing and the government in a perfect world, right? Which obviously it's not a perfect world, and that's the problem. But having it almost kind of built into like, hey, you're going to pay for, Social Security, you're going to pay for Medicare, you're going to pay for, right? You're going to kind of help cover all of these people who currently can't afford it, right? Isn't that kind of the thought behind it? Now, again, does it get allocated correctly all the time? Probably not. And I would say that's regardless of whether it's Republican or Democrat, but I don't know. I don't necessarily hate the idea of...
So again, even like, and again, here's where I just feel like people are going to keep hating on everything I'm saying here. But even with Social Security, you take care of grandma. Don't just ship her off somewhere and hope Social Security helps her. The $90 that she's going to get is not enough anyway. So grandma gets sick. Like, we've gotten away from like
dependence.
Yeah, like back in the day, grandma would be in the house.
Yeah.
Grandpa would be there, and you guys would grow together, and that would help the kids. That would help the parents. That would help. And now we're kind of just like, no, let the government do it.
Yeah.
And it'll be okay.
Yeah. Or even along with it, a hired hand, where it's just like, oh, just send them off to some nursing home or something like that. I agree. I think we've totally removed the neighbor in this instance. When you look at Social Security, I was reading an article this morning from Ramsey. They said Social Security only amounts to $25,000 per year, which obviously is not enough to sustain an individual who has bills. Of course, especially in your elderly years, your last 10, 20 years of your life are the most expensive years of your life. So $25,000 is not going to cut it to pay electric bill, housing bill, medicine, all of those things. It's not going to happen. So Social Security, that's probably a whole other conversation in and of itself, but it's a hot mess. And I think it does remove the element of the neighbor. I think it does more harm than it does good.
Yeah, but so then I guess, like, again, ideally the neighbor would take care, but they don't, right? That typically doesn't happen.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know. I don't see a lot of it.
I think, again, too, some of it is like we are a more isolated people than we've been in any other generation because, we got the world at our fingertips. You can watch whatever you want. Like back in the day, if a show wasn't on, you just go outside. But we don't do that as much. But I think if a lot of these kind of social net programs, if they got cut, we would be way more dependent. We would be asking our neighbor, hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Why? Because you need each other. You need to do it. When you're just dependent on the government and you feel like you have this entitlement, I deserve this, I think that's where it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I think, we kind of pointed out the giving aspect of it earlier, which, to your point, maybe we should be doing it more and it wouldn't be an issue. But I think on the receiving end, too, to your point, too, that it takes away the gratefulness of receiving and understanding that, hey, my community's helping me out and my community really does stand behind me. If it comes from a church body or if it comes from an individual or from a small group in the community, I think it means a lot more than if I just get that every week. I can get that check from the federal government, and it doesn't matter what I do, it's always coming in. There's no obligations tied to it. Like if I was getting something from a church on a weekly basis as charity, whether that be meals, whether that be a little bit of support for the electric bill, there's an obligation that comes with that says, you know what, I should go to that church.
Yeah.
I should get involved in some way. Maybe I can't give financially, but maybe I can give of my time. Maybe I can support. Maybe I can help out in some area. But when it comes from the government, what's the obligation that we see from anybody accepting social benefits, including all of us, right? We have no obligation. People in this country, a lot of the people in this country, they hate their country and they're receiving benefits from it. It's just bizarre. It removes that element of gratefulness and appreciation for what others have done for you.
Yeah, I hear that. I just think that would come from anywhere. I think that's just kind of naturally the human condition to once you get something, you get accustomed to that thing. But I think that's just natural. So whether it was a church, like if a church was going to write you a check every week, and I think eventually you would get to the point where you would just be like, oh yeah, this is what happened. I think at first you would maybe be a little bit more grateful because maybe you can see but at the same time, I think humans always just kind of, you become like, you get used to something, and the further away you get from the original of it, the more you're going to take it for granted, right? And that's what's happened with America. We're now so many generations away from the Revolutionary War and the Civil War and all of these things that we just kind of assume that it was always like this, when it was like, no, it's not. And that would, I think, to go back to the point, I don't think it's because there's this sense of entitlement because it's the government giving stuff. I think it's just the sense of entitlement because that's what happens to people. Like, you get entitled.
But to his point, though, when there's a face to it, right? Because everything that you just described is faceless. It's in the past. It's 3 generations back. But when you can put a face to it, it's like, no, I cannot do that. I can't just like let it go and just be like, oh, it's whatever. They owe me this. Well,
do you think it's possible for a parent to raise an entitled kid?
I think in that sense, there's a lot of other outside factors too, right? You have influences of friends. You have influence of this and that. And that kid, in a sense,
is entitled because their parent does everything for them.
Here's the thing, though. I think, and this is a little bit different, they're entitled because, in part, their parents are supposed to do those things. Yes, mom is supposed to have food on the table for me.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about when I say an entitled kid.
So, I mean, again, you could raise a brat, but that is just because
they get used to getting everything handed for them and taking care of them. But there's a face to it.
There's a difference between,
right?
There's a difference between doing things like taking care of someone out of obligation and then letting them run rampant, right? I would say some of these bad parenting is a thing, right? You can be a bad parent and give your kid everything, not that they need, but everything, and that's a difference. And essentially, that is what the government has become.
Yeah, I think the parenting example fits that mold because the parent just keeps giving and giving and giving, and there's no teaching or instruction about, hey, this is where this came from. This is what me and your parents had to sacrifice and your siblings had to sacrifice to make this possible, to make this a reality. When there is giving in a parent situation, in a good parenting situation, there is a teaching and instructing that goes with it, a wisdom that comes from the parent that says, hey, this is what I'm giving you, and it didn't come out of nowhere, and you should be grateful. And a good parent is teaching that gratefulness to be returned to the giver.
Yeah. I don't know. But I guess same point. So then, like, because again, everybody's taxes pays for all of these social programs, so maybe there should be some education on that, being like, hey, this isn't coming from nowhere. My neighbor is actually paying for my food stamps.
No, that's fair.
'Cause that's essentially what's happening. So again, I think it's the same thing. I think it's just really to say, oh, government bad, which again, typically I'd say on average, a lot of people tend to agree with, but I think it's the same principle. Well, why don't we teach, hey, if you're receiving food stamps, this is how that's being paid for.
Yeah.
Your county is taxed X amount %.
So here's the other part of that, though. So with the government shutdown, right, you have the potential of SNAP benefits being shut down here November 1st. You go on to TikTok and Instagram and things like that, and people are literally like, man, if you shut my things off, I'm stealing. Walmart, be ready. Like I'm not joking. It's crazy.
But that's a lot.
But so wait, here's the thing.
We're gonna take those people at face value.
I'm not saying that everybody's gonna storm the castle.
Nobody is going
but
to.
here's the other thing. I saw one lady on there, and again, not to say that she's representative of everybody, but she's like, the taxpayers owe me this. I've paid my taxes. I've paid into the system. They owe me. So they know, right? You know that this money isn't just magic fairy dust coming from nowhere. Yeah. And if they've turned on any news, you hear it from both sides. Like, man, this isn't fair. So it's not as if people just don't know and they're like, eh.
Yeah, but out of the 40 million, so you think that's over half of the people on food stamps have that mindset? Of I'm entitled to this?
Maybe.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's impossible to say
that's,
how many people
that's what
are
I'm saying.
That's...
I mean, obviously, if they're posting on TikTok,
So
you've got some time on your hands
to go get a job.
I agree.
To get off food stamps.
I agree. Now, again, it's not a perfect system because people take advantage, but no matter what the system is, people are going to take advantage.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like everybody has mooches.
But
that's always going to be a thing.
But again, it's harder to be a mooch when you have to look the person you're not stealing from, but
taking
taking from in the eye and say,
I don't think it is. Yeah. People had no problem mooching off me in college asking for rides.
Yeah, you see, but
it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
When you have to look someone in the eye and ask them, like, hey, I need to take from you for me.
I think you're giving the average person a lot more moral compass.
I like to think people have a moral
and that's
gauge.
fine, but that's just not like. I think we're agreeing. I think the only thing we're agreeing it maybe the government does it a little bit more, and fine, but it's ultimately the same thing.
Yeah. So here's the other side of it. Like, I think if we did not have public assistance and things like that, we would be kind of like some of these third world countries where you see babies dead on the side of the road.
Yes.
So I think there is a need for help. Especially...
Now again, does the help get allocated correctly? No, I think every person would agree with that.
Yeah, and to improve that, I think it should be done on the local level. To have it done on the federal level is just so it's going to be so unorganized. When we're talking about a country of 340 million people,
yeah, I agree.
It's going to be a hot mess. Keep it on the local level. Keep food stamps. Keep all of this stuff. It should be done through the local government. Yeah. Now, you would have to really beef up the local government to make this possible, to make this go smoothly. But it would be done way more efficiently if, I guess in this way, this is kind of the compromise of our 2 points here, is that, okay, we make it local, we put a face on it, and we make it your local community, your county government, rather than the federal government. It gets the federal government out of this mess, and it makes it more feasible financially for the county, and then it makes it more personal, and then as well, the federal government cannot run anything efficiently. Look at the mail service, right? They cannot run a profit on the mail service. It's a hot mess. It always is, the USPS, and why would we trust them with anything else if they can't even get our mail down the street? It's just bizarre to me why we trust the federal government with anything.
If I was supreme dictator, right?
For one day.
For one day. This is, and I think there's a great need for public assistance. What I would do in conjunction with that, bringing it to this local level, but I would put a time limit on it. You have 10 years, and this isn't for people that are like, mentally incapable, physically incapable, right? People that are able-bodied, people that can actually do things. I would say after 10 years, you cut off. Now, you can take them all at once. You can do a 10-year in the front. You can do 2 years here, 1 year here. Separate it, but I think a time limit on it, too, would help. Because, I know some people that their entire life, they just are on the dime. And it's like, man, you don't get to grow past that, right? If you're comfortable, it's easy to just stay in the comfort. Yeah. But if you say, hey, I have a time limit, I have 10 years to grind, 10 years to maybe get a degree, 10 years, and you might, some people say it's hard to get a degree with kids and be a single parent. But if you take one class a semester for 10 years, you'd be done with a degree. Yeah. Right? If a trade, you'd be done with that. What'd you say?
You'd hope.
I mean, if you can't do it in 10 years, and this isn't to be mean, but if you can't do it in 10 years.
You can't do it.
Probably not.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
But then again, if you get through 2 years, I'm going to be a lawyer. You go through 2 years and you say, I can't do this. Well, you still got 8 years. Maybe try a trade.
Yeah, I guess, and I agree with that. I definitely agree. I'm not trying to take out personal responsibility, and everyone's responsible for their own choices, because that, again, that's huge. Like, right, like we wouldn't have as many people. Like, healthcare wouldn't be as big of a problem if we were a little bit healthier. Like, I'd be the first to admit that. But I guess kind of my thinking comes from I'd rather get all of the least of these covered and have a couple mooches win if the truly least of these get taken care of.
So
and there are a couple people mooch off. Like I'm okay with that.
I get your point, but people use the Bible and they say, well, the Bible says to look after the least of these. The Bible says the orphan and widow. Yes, it does. But the Bible does also say if a man does not work, he does not eat.
Yes.
So you have to couple the
Yeah,
two.
I agree. I agree.
So what I'm saying is when it talks about the least of these, what was he pointing to? The people that could not, in any circumstance, achieve those things. So the least of these isn't just someone that's like, I didn't get the chance to go to college. I didn't get the chance. Well, again, you go back to 1950, 1960s. People didn't really have college degrees, but they were willing to be the garbage man at 3 a.m. They were willing to sweep up behind, the elephants at the zoo, whatever it was. It wasn't like, oh, I'm too big for that. And that's what, again, this is anecdotal, but you scroll on TikTok and all this stuff, and it's like, these people are like, I'm not doing that. I'm too good. Thanksgiving is coming. You owe me.
Yeah.
Like, well,
yeah.
Maybe this Thanksgiving you get chili cheese dog.
And again, I don't disagree with that, but I guess kind of my point, and then we can maybe kind of move on from here. Like, yeah, that person needs to get it figured out, needs to, go get a job. Like, I don't know. There's plenty of jobs that you can get. Like, there's bus drivers, there's whatever, right? But I guess for me, I'm okay with it. Not okay with it, but I can live with it if I know all the other people are getting taken. Like, I'd rather have that. I'd rather have a couple mooches get swept up with it than have it just be totally disbanded. And then I guess that's kind of my...
I don't think anybody said disband it completely, but...
I think you kind of
did. No, I said, again...
I don't think you'd be opposed to that.
No, I just said we need it. Otherwise, we'd be like the third world countries. You got babies dead on the street. I don't want that. I don't think that's good, right? But I think there's a lot of people that are on it that don't need it. And this isn't a blue-red thing. There's just people will take the least resistant road. Yeah. So you have to make that harder and harder and harder, and say, hey, this is the deal. There still will be mooches, right? There are people that will jump through the hoops so they can sit at home. So exactly. They can collect whatever. Exactly. But I think you could minimize more of that.
Yeah, and that's probably an element. I haven't looked at the weeds of it, but that's probably an element of the shutdown is that in the Big Beautiful Bill, they, put some requirements, some work requirements and volunteer requirements on some of these social benefit programs.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
And there was pushback from the Democrats on that. And so I'm sure, like you were saying earlier, that they were... they wanted to go back to pre-Big Beautiful Bill, policies, and I heard they wanted to go back to some COVID spending levels as well with this. So that's what makes it so complex. Who's going to win out? It'll be interesting to see, who buckles the knee in this government showdown and shutdown. Mm.
Speaking of big money and big spending, I hear some people robbed the Louvre in Paris. So what have you guys heard?
Does anybody work? I mean, we're just talking about
what, the criminals are working.
How does this happen? Like, how does this happen?
I was doing a little bit of research on this. I saw that it was the same museum where the Mona Lisa is held, which was actually stolen in 1911. And quite an interesting museum. This was 30,000 visitors a day. And, of course, a gang of professional criminals were able to sneak this, pull off this little heist, I guess we could say.
It's crazy. You said 30,000 people there. They had to have guards walking around. Like, how does someone...
what is bizarre to me, too.
I guess if you get the rent-a-cops, which is probably what they are. Like, mall security.
Some Paul Blart Mall cops.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what it is, but... I don't know. I guess sometimes you just got to tip your hat, I guess. Like, hey.
Very impressive.
You got it. Like,
steal the crown jewels in 7 minutes.
So what do we think? Is this going to be like a Netflix documentary, or we think it's going to be a movie or a TV
series? They've made this movie 15 times. I don't know. I guess it has to be a documentary because it's like, this is too unbelievable. Like, the script writers couldn't have planned this one out.
Yeah. The one guy they caught, he was on a plane for Algeria, and I guess the French, whatever they have in French, the TSA, they caught him and said, "You're not going to Africa. anytime soon.
Yeah, it's funny that these guys can get away with that, but Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier can't escape FanDuel.
I was thinking about that. Do you think, like, what should be, obviously the FBI is involved with this. What should be the punishment for that? Because, like, I don't really think it is, like, I hate that it happened and, you shouldn't be engaged in it, but how serious do I think it is? Does this really deserve jail time?
I would need further. I think you have to come down hard because you have to keep the integrity of this, right? Or else then it is just going to turn into a money scheme.
But then you're looking at what's the government's perspective on this, and then what's the the leagues, the NBA or the NFL or whoever it is.
They were actually interviewing Silver during the Knicks opening night, which again they 50 screened my guy Tyler Kolek killing the Cavs, and they've got Adam Silver talking legal jargon, which he didn't know what he was doing, and he essentially said there's only so much as a league we can do. Like, we did an investigation, and this is what happened.
I thought Terry Rozier was scot-free. I mean, they did the investigation last year, and it sounded like he made it through because he came back.
Yeah, but then I think they got more. And so it's actually funny because the average person will hear that. Like, the average non-gambler would come and be like, this is what happens when you legalize it. But actually and this might sound crazy, but try to follow. Right?
It's about to get crazy.
No, but legalizing sports betting and having it on the app, I think actually is going to be easier to track these things out because they can go back and be like, hold on, wait a minute. Like the Billups thing, it rose suspicion because 2 years ago when they were really, really bad, they had a star player, Damian Lillard, and they hadn't quite decided to mail it in tank for an upper draft pick yet. They were still like trying to be competitive. And then they noticed a weird irregularity in a game. It was right before they made the switch to tank and they started to notice irregularities like in that date. Like the fact that it's all legalized, now we can go back and see like, hey, wait a minute. Okay. And again, I think it's tough because like if Terry Rozier's talking to his brother before the game and he's like, Jimmy Butler's got a bum ankle, but he's going to try to go through it. Like, is that – I don't know. I guess it is tough to manage, but I think just come down hard with it. I think one of the easiest solutions is these player props. You cannot bet on the under of
Here's what baffles me about it all. These guys are making multi-million dollars, $26 million a year. Yeah. Like, why are you even trying to – like, what are you going to gain from another – and
that's what I think about, but I think it goes back to two things, actually, what we were talking about earlier. First, it's the thrill, right? First, it's the thrill of, like, the exhilarating, am I going to get caught, am I not going to get caught? These guys are playing at the
professional level. That's got to be enough
but at some point, like, you playing in front of 20,000 people on a Tuesday night in January, like, obviously there's still big games and all that, but 82 games, right? And if you've been in the league for 10 years, that's 800 times. If you do anything 800 times, it's really tough to get up every single day. So I think there is a thrill of being right versus being wrong. The thrill of, hey, my third cousin twice removed has $1 million on this, to make $2 million. And then B, I think the other portion of it is, like we talked about personal choice, right? You still make bad choices, right? Yeah. And just because you have $1 million doesn't mean you can't go bankrupt. It just means poor decisions. And there's a lot of people who attach themselves to these kids because remember, they're becoming millionaires. Now they're becoming millionaires in high school and going into college. But these kids, which again, typically you look at the NBA. There's a solid percentage. There's a solid percentage who was like they had to go, like they had to make the NBA. Like that was the way out, right? Like the VJ Edgecombe kid on the 76ers, he had 30. He broke the record for most points in an opening quarter.
Great start to the career.
But the thing that kept going viral is his he's from the Bahamas, and his pre-draft interview, he's getting emotional because he was talking about they had to live on a generator and seeing what his that's their only way too. So then you get a bunch of these grimy AAU shoe guys, now NIL, right? Not all of it is bad, but you get a bunch of bad people in it who now these kids feel like they owe everything to, and then their friend and their cousin and their uncle.
You think back to, I know everything spins back to this, but just like education. A lot of these not just basketball, football, like a lot of these kids are coming out of high school, out of college, like 22 years
Yeah.
old, and just given millions of dollars. How much of it would be on the league to say, we need, because there's a show, it's like Hustlers or something like that.
Yeah.
This lady goes out and she swindles all these professionals. I mean, what's that guy that dressed up in a dress, hangs out with Kim Jong-un? What's his name again?
Oh,
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. She got him. She like a list of people. So it wasn't like just
Now
a
she might have
one-off.
gotten them in. Yes. But
So I'm just saying, like, teach these kids. You're gonna give them 26 million. Say, hey, this is how you should. On the league, there should be something.
they do have like a rookie seminar, and they do try to go into some of that. Now, again, how much are they listening? How much are they, whatever? And again, it's a lot of it. Again, it kind of comes back to family. Like, again, if this is like, again, you grow up seeing your mom if you grow up seeing that, like, I'm living on a generator, like, if this doesn't turn on, we don't have electricity, right? Like, and you kind of know your family is like, that's a lot for a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid, knowing that your entire family is gone, pardon the pun here, but all in, and is like betting the house on you, right, to like make the NBA where only 200 people get in.
Here's
or
why
whatever.
I mean, I hear you and I hear the violins, but here's why I'm not sympathetic. $26 million a year. Most people in America aren't making $1 million in a year. Most people in America aren't making $50,000.
Yeah,
a year.
but there's
so
also
poor. Yeah, you were poor, but now you're rich.
Yeah, but you still
Mama, daddy, grandpa, Uncle Joe.
Yeah,
can all
I
live
hear
on
you.
26 million.
I hear you, and to a degree, I get that. But also, like, if you don't know how to manage money, what does it matter if you have 26 or 26 million?
Yeah.
You're still not going to make good choices with it.
You sound like Dave Ramsey.
Oh,
Okay, let's pump the brakes there.
Corey's about to ask these guys to get a budget.
No. I mean, I don't even. Again, at 26 million, you don't have to have a budget. Just don't be like. But again, it's tough because, again, when you're 18, 19 years old and you've got all that, and I hear, but firstly, there's only
It's discipline.
Yeah, and there's maybe 20 people in the country that can do what that kid is doing right now. So, like,
it's true. But here's the thing with professional sports too: it doesn't last long. Like whatever you're in. So going in, you can be smart, and you don't have to be like a finance guru to know, hey, I'm gonna make $26 million a year.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna play for 5 years. I don't have enough to spend, a billion.
But again, like, and I've been trying to do this more often because I was like 100%, with you, and had that. But again, you just think like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. Like, these kids are coming into the NBA. Like, Cooper Flagg's 18 years old.
Yeah.
It's on him now to make solid financial decisions. And if he doesn't, here's a violin. Can't believe you threw away your millions of dollars. Like, I don't know. I have a hard time being like, man, that kid was dumb.
My point is just this: like, $26 million is a lot of money. That's a lot to burn.
I agree.
Most people in the world, not just America, most people in the world will never even like touch half that.
I agree.
So you blowing through that much, and then I was just trying to take care of mom. Well, so is Joe Smo in the Amazon. He's doing it for a lot less.
Yeah, but but I also think when you get such a influx, like, it's easy. Like, if someone gave me a check for $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be thinking of, like, you don't think about the price anymore because you're like, I have $1 million. Like, in your head, especially when you come from nothing, 26 million is all the money in the world. Like, this is never gonna run out. You know what I mean? Like, that's in their head what they're thinking. Again, right? You need to surround yourself with the right people. Again, ultimately, you are responsible for your choices. You are responsible for your decisions, right? And I think it's kind of interesting that it all does kind of tie back together. But you take now playing, what the head coach Billups was doing, playing in a unregulated fixed poker game with the mafia, with like counted cards, marked card. It was crazy. That is crazy.
Special contacts and everything.
But
these must have been the same criminals who were doing the jewel heist.
I mean, maybe, but
I think it's all organized crime.
It's organized crime. Like, these people are smart. Imagine if they use their powers for good instead of evil. Like, criminals are the smartest, most resourceful people we got.
Yeah. So back to what we were talking about earlier, we could take it with the jewel heist or even with the NBA scandal. Like, what? Like, even as a society, I guess from a legal standpoint, what should be the punishment? Because I was thinking through this, again, for both, whether it be the French jewel heist or whether it be, in America with the NBA, I really don't think this is something that deserves jail time, really. I think that, when you look at these guys, yes, I hate that they did it. It is wrong. But am I really too upset that they kind of schemed the sports books? Not really, because I kind of see the sports books guys as a little skeevy themselves. And I think it should be, this is something that I've thought a lot about too, is that a lot of punishment, I guess, from a legal standpoint, should be restitution rather than just, okay, you stole all this money, you get thrown in jail. Yeah. I think it should be some type of restitution system to where it's like, okay, you stole this much money, you have to give this much money back and then a little bit more.
Didn't expect that.
What?
Not expecting that. I don't hate that.
But what's to stop them? What's the deterrent?
What do you mean?
So I steal $5 from you. I just got to pay you back $5.
Okay, no, I said a little bit more.
Okay, I got to pay you $5.50. I'll do it again. I hope I don't get caught.
But I mean, to circle this whole thing back, who's paying for the people sitting in jail? I am. Anyway,
that's true.
And they got
extreme there.
Sometimes they got a better living situation than other people who were paying for their.
I was hearing somebody the other day. They said they got iPads in jail now.
I believe it.
Somebody did a tour of our local jail.
I believe
they got
it.
iPads in there.
I believe it. And guess who paid for it? Exactly. Guess who paid for it? So I don't hate that. I don't think the jail system. I mean, I get it. You've got to get some of these people off the street, and I guess maybe.
This is where I show probably the least amount of compassion. You do a crime that's worthy of jail, you're on your own.
But I guess that's what he's asking. What is worthy? Is stealing $20 worthy of jail?
Is scamming out the sports books worthy of jail?
Here's the thing, though. You got Fred in Oklahoma who also put his last $50 on this. You went in and you knew you were gonna cook everything up, that the outcome of the game was gonna be this way. Now poor Fred is out $50. That was his lunch money for the week. True. Whereas for you, that's just playing money. So for that, I say you go to jail for my man Fred in Oklahoma or whatever I just said.
You go to jail, okay? What would you sentence these guys who mess with the books in the NBA? I mean, Cash Patel, FBI director, he said that it wasn't even millions of dollars. He says it was tens of millions of dollars. These guys
lock them up. Tens of millions of dollars, lock them up. I don't care.
He said this wasn't little fraud. He said this was big fraud.
No, I mean, again, it has to be, because again, they can, which again, everyone says, oh, legalize, this is awful, blah, 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 right? Which, okay, I can kind of see their points, but at the same time, we can all track that now, so we can see these irregularities, and these things are going to be so much easier to pick out, and we can also track, hey, who placed this bet? Let me look at the logging, because you got to enter all your information.
What are you doing with them?
I think you do. I think lifetime ban from the league is 1,000%. I think that's a starter.
Did you see the film on Terry Rozier? Like, people going back.
I haven't.
Hindsight's 2020. But you go back and the film on him, he's just literally throwing the ball together.
Yeah. See, basketball is unique because it is so easy for an individual to impact the outcome. Football, it's so tough because it's so fast moving. You're only on the field for half the game anyway.
Yeah.
And then outside of being the quarterback, if a receiver just purposely dropped the ball, multiple times to the point of it would be so obvious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Jamar Chase is just going to be dropping a bunch, 5 open passes there, you're going to be it's going to be so obvious.
Yeah. And to his point earlier, with these athletes cooking the books. Sorry, I forgot my point. But anyways, go ahead.
No, I think lifetime ban and then jail. I don't know. It's just insider trading. It's insider trading essentially. So.
And those people go to jail too. You inside trade, go to jail.
But the question is, should they?
What is the point of sending them to jail? Okay.
Hopefully, I mean, firstly,
because they're also going to going to a white collar jail.
Part of the problem is that, right? Give them the sentence that they deserve. Don't just say, hey, you get to Martha Stewart walk around your house with an ankle bracelet. No, you go to jail and you actually hit jail. And then again, to my other point, we're not going to subsidize you. Your family's got to take the cost of you in prison, whether you still. Millions or I don't care.
Okay, what about these guys in France? $102 million value of.
First,
I think
you got to
just
catch
one
them.
They found one of them. I don't know how many was in the group.
Couldn't tell you, but
I don't know.
$102 million value just for one item.
I tell you what, though, I don't know about that guy, but I tell you, they would have caught me. Everybody's going down. They found us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like,
I would have sympathy for someone trying to steal bread to feed their family as opposed to someone making millions on top of their millions. That's where I'm just like, I don't have sympathy for you.
no, I don't think it's. Okay, sorry, you go. Sorry.
Well, just again, back to my point of restitution. What does sending them to jail do? I understand we need to keep them off the streets to protect them from society. Okay, maybe I get that argument. I don't necessarily think they're a threat in the sense of dangerous crimes, like that I'm in harm being in the same room with this individual.
I agree with that.
But again, back to my point where, you have all these small-time people that are betting on this game. Right?
Yeah.
They're hoping that this is going to be, again, I don't think you should be betting anyway, but that's just me. You're betting thinking this is going to be the big win, and it was all taken away before you even had a chance because if someone in the back room made this, they had a plan.
Yeah.
So for that point right there, that person's out of funds. So I say, 1, yes, restitution, but 2, as a deterrent, someone's got to go down for something. If no one ever gets punishment for anything, then it's just like, it's whatever.
But wouldn't the restitution plus be the punishment in that sense? And again, I don't know what putting them in jail does. If we're talking about somebody stealing art from a museum in France or even stealing from the sports books on betting, what does it do to lock them up for 20, 30 years?
You're essentially making the point that jail should only be for people who are a physical danger or threat to other. And I actually don't necessarily hate that.
I disagree. Here's why. Because at what point does your stealing, trans over to my physical health? Yes, let's say I bet the house. Now I'm out of a house. My family's hungry. We're living in a shelter.
But again,
that's harm to me.
But that's also like
dumb. Yes,
dumb on the person's part. Like also, when you gamble, you have the understanding that you can also. That's why it's thrilling. That's why people get excited about it because you also understand that you might lose.
Yeah. All right. So what? About
actually, you're probably going to lose. Actually,
when
it comes to gambling,
probably but. Now this is 100% as opposed to maybe 80-20.
But even then, like, it's not a guarantee unless you go and bet on Terry Rozier's under points, which if you're doing that, props to you. But you are also, and you would probably admit this about, you're a degenerate. If you're betting on a backup point guard's under point totals.
If jail is simply about harming someone, if someone comes and robs you at gunpoint, they don't hurt you. They just say, I'm going to shoot you. Right? No harm was there. They just took your money.
I mean, putting a gun to my head.
That is harm.
That's harm.
Okay, so all right, I come to you, hands in my pocket. I pretend I have a gun, and I say,
"You posed a threat."
Yes,
Terry Rose, but this guy does not pose a threat to the other people's existence.
So
he of himself doesn't.
I guess it's the broken windows thing, right? If you let this slide, then what other thefts do you
It's
have
not
to let
sliding.
slide?
We're not saying,
I think he should still be punished.
There's still punishment, and I agree, the point of just jail.
What does it do?
What does it do? Because what happens when people get out of jail? What do the stats say? They're going to just what?
If some of them will do the same crime.
The average is most people end up in jail.
Here's the thing.
Back again. So the jail time didn't do anything.
These NBA players, NFL players, Martha Stewart, whoever it is, right? They're not your average guy. They come out of jail and they're thinking, I'm not doing that again.
Do you think? I mean, I don't know what Martha Stewart did.
I don't remember, but I know she was in house arrest. That's all. I think it was something like tax evasion or something crazy. But here's the thing: if I'm making $26 million and you say, hey, you have to pay,
$36 million,
but it won't be that much. It won't be. Restitution is going to be.
It should be. I guess that's my case. Is that it should be restitution of the amount you stole plus whatever I don't know if these go to the jury or just
whatever it would go to. Yeah,
but there should be some type of through the court process there should be like, hey, it's restitution plus, like you in a way, like this sounds crazy too, this is gonna really I don't know, but anyways, I'll just say it should be like some type of indentured servitude in the old style, in the sense that it should be like, okay, this guy stole $50 million. Like, he owes this company or this sports book. And then the people that it impacted too. You said the guy who put $30 on it, he owes them $75 million.
That guy gets a $30 free bet. Terry Rozier has to pay every winning free bet.
Here's the thing. You go to third world countries and you rob someone, they cut your hand off. chop your foot off.
Yeah.
So
They don't go to jail.
So you
I'm
want
saying-
America? Exactly.
No, I'm saying send them to jail. Don't chop off their hand. That's all I'm saying.
See, isn't this
I
interesting
say
how
s-
now all of a sudden now the government putting people in jail, now you're a big fan of. What about personal, all that?
Again, I think.
Isn't that crazy how
I
it
think,
always flips?
No,
This is why I don't like
personal
politics.
responsibility. You still are responsible. You now have to face the time. You
Yeah,
do
but we let the
crime
government deal with it.
because you're not gonna lock them in your basement. What
No,
do you
but the accountability.
To the earlier point, you put a face to it. You stole Bob's $30 that he put on.
You
Terry
owe
Rozier.
him 75 now,
Yeah.
or he's gonna get a free bet, and whatever his winnings are,
No, I'm not
Terry,
saying-
they're
my,
coming
my
out of your
thing
bank
is,
account.
my thing is, once you start again, you get to like these hedge fund guys that are stealing money and doing the same. They pay you back. They take out your life savings. They pay you back. They made $1 billion on this deal. They're gonna pay you back $100 million.
But you still end up winning. Who cares?
So they get the profit. That's the thing, though. What
Firstly-
happens? What happens when it doesn't work and they take grandma's profits and now grandma's living on the streets?
Well, you could make the same case. Like I could invest in a good person and their business fails. Sometimes an investment doesn't work. Like
Yeah,
sometimes
but-
an investment
but
doesn't work for whatever reason.
That's different than
Why?
when you
But why?
Because you're intentionally taking someone's money, knowing that this is a scam. It's gonna fall. Every scam eventually falls apart.
Yeah, but so like again, I don't know if maybe Bernie Madoff shouldn't be in jail,
You see,
isn't he? Yeah.
I think he is. But again, he stole hundreds, thousands of.
He was being a
people's
good
life
businessman.
savings. No, man, lock that man up. Don't
Why?
let him out. Throw away the key because he.
So now we're paying for his cushy life chilling in
So
jail.
again, this is where I say we need to reform the jails. In that, I'm not saying
Prison reform.
I'm not necessarily saying let them out. I'm saying we're not paying for it. We'll lock you up. We'll upgrade.
But
the,
who is paying
Yeah.
for it though?
What
That's
cell am I
that's what we're
locking
trying
in
to make.
that I'm
That's the
paying
point
for?
we're trying to make. Make him
I would-
actually pay.
I
so,
would say the biggest cost of jail is. This is gonna sound terrible, but maintaining the lives of people in there. Their
So-
food, their health care,
Yeah.
you go to jail, you lose all that. Your family's got to pay for it. Your liver's hurt. Grandma, can you help me out? No?
I mean,
You just leave him. in
that's
the-
crazy. That's
Sorry.
that's
I mean,
crazy.
Here's the thing, though.
And
That's
I
crazy.
thought indentured servitude wasn't that.
That's crazy. What are you talking about? That's
No, listen,
insane.
most of world history, that's how in the world.
That
today,
doesn't make it good.
listen, if you go to jail, your families they gotta feed you.
Hey, I do believe the rich criminals, they should pay for their like they should pay rent.
Yeah.
They should pay rent for that cell.
Yeah, you did it's on you. You do the crime.
That's
You do
insane.
the time. I'm not paying. Listen, I ain't
You
paying
said
for
just
rice.
die.
I'm not paying for rice.
You
or
said
beans.
just die.
No, I didn't say just die. I said, Grandma, come bring him some rice and beans.
Maybe their neighbor could take care of them.
Maybe they made some good
Maybe
friends.
Social Security could pay for it.
That's crazy, bro.
I'm just saying. Listen,
Crazy.
you again. I'm being obviously a little hyperbolic. I'm not saying like kill people there, but like we spend way too much on prison, and if we were a little bit more
That's
strict,
the point we're trying to make.
but let me finish. If we were a little bit more strict when you go to prison, you're not getting an iPad, you're not getting a fluffy chair, you're getting you're laying.
Beaten?
What'd you say?
Beaten?
Oh, I didn't say all that. I didn't say you have to go extreme. You just jump the track. I'm just saying
We got to spend the 24 hours somehow.
we're not giving you any comforts of anything. Like if we pay for anything, bro, you're getting the bare minimums. That's the point. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but I'm being serious in this point. And like, you went and did something heinous. I'm sorry.
We're not saying don't throw any blame. We're not saying
No, I'm
outlaw
saying
jail.
you go to jail for a crime that is worth imprisonment. That's on you.
Is being a good businessman.
If you're embezzling, I don't think that's being a good.
Well,
businessman.
embezzling is stealing. But like the point we're trying to make, like Terry Rozier didn't steal money. Chauncey Billups didn't steal money.
But he did. When you went out there
They
and you
stole.
underperformed, you stole money.
They stole. I think they stole. But I don't think they're a physical harm to their neighbors or their
Agreed.
community.
So
Therefore, I don't understand the point of locking them up, especially in a system that we have now where the taxpayer funds locking them up, where these guys not only, as you pointed out earlier, make millions of dollars from their day-to-day jobs, but now they're making millions upon millions of dollars from their gambling schemes that they've organized, and now the taxpayers paying to put this multimillionaire in prison? What is he doing?
Here's the thing that
Cushy
I'm
prison.
trying to like wrap my brain around though. So stealing, you don't go to prison. Let's say I loot every house on the block. I sneak in at night like the Grinch, and I just steal it all. I don't harm anybody. I
Like
don't say
the
anything. Like
French
the Frenchman,
heist.
yeah.
You have to pay. You pay back everything that you stole plus whatever interest there is.
So I get out of jail, right?
No, we're not
listen,
even.
Wait, listen. I don't go to jail. I have to give them back. Plus, I have to give them more.
Yeah.
Right. Now I can't. Anything that I earn is gonna go to that.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between me saying starve in jail or starve in your?
Yeah, man, we can
cardboard
set up
box?
payment. We can student loan that thing and set up payment plans. But I mean, don't you think that's more of a deterrent? The fact that if I get caught stealing $1,000, I got to pay back $4,000.
The difference is
You don't think that's more of a deterrent than just sitting in a box for
I think for
a year?
for the average person, yes, but for someone that's making multi-million dollars, no, because they're gonna say I can make that up next year. I can make that up the year after. But
who cares?
if you only have 5 years in the league, and I say one of those years you're going to prison, that changes.
But we've kicked them out of the
scheme.
league.
That changes the scheme.
They're out of the league.
Yeah, I think they should be out of
if
the
they
league.
get caught.
And that's obviously business by business. I don't know if the government, and maybe the government could do it this way with across the board, just saying, hey, you lose all licenses that you currently possess, like whether it's trading or whether it's professional sports.
Yeah, you
But
have to
then,
find a different
along
groove.
with this, maybe instead of just a cash sum to bring more harm, maybe it would be a wage garnishment over the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got to pay this much the rest
Like,
of your life.
So even if you make $100K a month,
And I get them going to jail isn't gonna accomplish this either. But grandma bets again the farm. She loses it. He goes on a payment plan for the next 10 years. She dies in 2. She never gets.
but that was going to happen regardless. So if she goes to jail, grandma's made okay? If anything, this makes grandma. I think grandma would choose. Hey, do you want him sitting in jail, or do you want him to pay your money back? If she's gambling, obviously she wants the money, so she's gonna say, "Yeah, sure, fine, pay me."
Gambling grandmas.
Yeah.
I think that's the title of the episode.
I like it.
Maybe.
Talking about some more spending, we're gonna end here with this one here. The renovations at the White House. What are your takes on that?
Who cares? There's so much. Like we're not meant for a 24-hour news cycle. Like it's the East Wing. Nobody cares about the East Wing. Nobody goes into the
We
East
went
Wing.
in the East Wing. Remember that?
I guess I do now. I mean, I do remember going to. I don't remember what wing, but like, what does it matter? It's construction. We're doing construction. Like, obviously, the White House that is right now is not the OG original White. Like, obviously, there's been construction now. As long as he doesn't put a statue of himself in the middle of it, which with this guy we can't rule that out. That's not an
I'm
impossibility.
surprised he hasn't carved out MAGA in the bushes.
That's
in the
what I'm-
rose garden.
That's what I'm saying.
That
So
would
we
be,
can't rule
uh,
that
He
out. But if
paved
he's
over the Rose
legitimately
Garden.
making
Rose
it
Garden's
better, and apparently like,
Paved it.
and apparently on that side where they're doing construction, you can only fit like 300 people in that. Anyway, so when they have these big events and galas or whatever, half of them are eating like outside in a tent. So
I mean, the pictures look nice.
why not make it bigger? So if it's gonna be good, like again, our taxes go to some silly stuff too. So
It's not tax money. Did you hear that?
I did. Hear
where
that.
is it coming from then?
Trump got a team of donors, and then he said he's going to pay for the rest of it.
Good for him.
I guess to play devil's advocate, the optics of, I know it's private money, but spending hundreds of millions while people are about to lose benefits and things like that. I guess that's the biggest
Yeah, but again, going back to the shutdown, we've kind of, I mean, that's all politicians' fault.
Mm-hmm.
So again, maybe I don't know. Yeah, no, I get that, but again, that's why politics. It's just always. You're always gonna take the same story, and it's just politics.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be a political thing. I think it sounds very practical to me from the needs of the White House. I mean, they say they're putting up tents on the White House lawn. The White House actually put out a really cool timeline historically of the advancements that have been made, the improvements that have been made on the facilities. In 2009, President Barack Obama, he resurfaced the South Ground tennis court, and he made it into a basketball court. And I actually remember some of that footage from that time because he would invite very famous NBA players to come in, and they would kind of play one-on-one and talk with him about what's going on in the country. I was reading, I think it was I forget which one, maybe President Carter put in a swimming pool, and people were upset about that at the time. And Trump here, putting in the ball, and people think it's going to be like Mar-a-Lago. And then I was also reading, of course, we had the master renovation In 1814, of course, the British burnt down the White House in the War of 1812. And, of course, we had to do a mass renovation in 1814.
I think what's so crazy about this whole thing with the renovations is the news reporting on it. I've seen a bunch of clips side by side with when Barack built the court. People were like, do you hear the sounds of renovation? This is the future. And then now they're like, the sounds, they're too loud. It's like, it's crazy how quickly on a dime.
Everything, but that's always.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a political thing.
And the people who said when, Obama did it, this is sacred ground, blah, blah, blah. Now people are like, yes.
Well, I think a lot of people are saying no in the sense that, the funny thing is, because, like you said, it's being politicized, is that the progressives in this instance are against the progress that's taken place. Of course, the country is much larger than it was even in the 1814 renovation of the White House. So it's going to need larger rooms, bigger balls and festivals and all of these things being held on the property. You're going to need more space for these type of things. It sounds pretty functional and practical to me. It sounds like it had to be done.
I think it's fine. I think we need to get better at whether if someone does something good, who cares where it came from? Who cares who came up with the idea? If they did something good, whether they're Republican or Democrat, right, left, whatever, right? If it's a good idea and it's a good thing, it's a good idea and it's a good thing. Just give them their props. It's not always it's not always one side versus the other.
If anything, though, I think this one should deserve more props because in the past, all those renovations were tax funded. Like the United States government us, the taxpayers, had to pay for it. In this one instance, it's literally completely funded outside of.
Yeah, I just feel like everything ends up coming back to our taxes, though. So I mean, ground beef is still like $7. So you said we're back. Back where? Where are we back?
The inflation numbers were better this month.
Guess. I mean, I don't know.
I saw a meme. You can buy a whole Thanksgiving meal $40 at Aldi.
For a family of 10.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's Aldi.
Aldi for the win.
That's fine.
Now
this episode is brought to you by
no free ads.
The funniest thing I saw about this whole renovation, because again, Trump is just a master troll. Hillary Clinton posted something like, "This is an devastation. He's desecrating the halls of," and he's like, "Really? Do you want to say that?"
Yikes!
Yeah,
the blue dress.
Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do?
All right. Well,
sounds good.
That wraps it up for us here at the Davis Download. Thank you again for tuning in and share it with your friends. Like and subscribe. All right, if you like this show and you like what we're talking about here, just go ahead and follow us. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're everywhere. Go on where you like best, and we'll be there.
Link in the description.
Link in the description. There we go.